Well, more now on Prince and his shocking death this morning, aged just 57. To give their insights into his musical legacy, Garvia Bailey, music journalist and radio host, and our own Shad, musician and host of CBC Radio's Q. So here we have, in a heartbeat, we lose a music icon and a cultural icon. Mm-hmm. What was about Prince that spoke to you?
I think there was, he spoke to a coming of age for a lot of people. I think there's someone that spoke to the fact that this was an artist that was able to not only make you feel like you were in church, but make you feel like you want to touch someone else, or, you know, he was able to encapsulate all of that for a lot of us that were coming up at a time when we were just, you know, going into puberty, figuring out who we were as people. And this is a man that had the anthem to that and was able to express everything in such an open and free way. So I think that was, for me, that was absolutely the draw to his music and to who he was as a person. The way he lived was with such integrity and with such passion. And when you're just growing up, I think that's huge.
Shad, what about you?
I would say as a musician, he's one of few musicians that just stunned all of his peers. I mean, all of my musician friends and I were just floored by the guy, by his versatility, by how prolific he was, and at the same time he was so singular as an artist. I mean, there are very few artists I would put in that category that are kind of universally just revered. Revered is kind of an understatement by other musicians.
And he crossed age groups too, right?
And absolutely. I think what Shad is saying about the musicality, that was something that's very different than what it is to be an artist now. Because I think a lot of artists now go from the way that we look at celebrity is from the outside in. And Prince was always from the inside out. So the art was first, and then who he was became something sort of secondary to it. So it was always about the art first, this incredible musician that was a genius as far as musicality was concerned. He would write songs for people that were incredible. He would do his own thing. He would do covers. He would take over stages. So now you have artists that it's their persona first, and then the music or the art or whatever it is they're doing might come second.
Well, talk a little about that, Shad, because here we had a guy who was very private in his personal life. You didn't know much about him. He kind of disappeared after he left the stage.
Yes.
And yet was this music icon. So,
well, I think that's part of his appeal, you know, and that was very deliberate. It was very intentional. He crafted this air of mystery that he kept right up until the end. You know, even in this age of social media, kind of overexposure, oversharing, kind of constant surveillance, there was always this air of mystery around Prince, and I think that allowed people to ultimately approach his music first.
But you think that was deliberate?
I think it was deliberate. I think he understood that that's actually important for an artist. Nowadays, artists are asked to comment on everything that's going on in the world. People expect a window into their personal life. And I think that he understood that for people to take your art on its own terms, you kind of have to have that distance. And I think he cultivated that very deliberately.
You agree with that, Garvia?
Oh, yeah. I would say for sure that it was like when you heard anything personal about Prince, it was like a little nugget. Like you would hear it and it was like getting a diamond all of a sudden. Oh, he's done this, because you heard so little about him. And that allowed the music to speak for itself. And that allowed the mystery to be there as far as who he was. But that would mean that the art was the thing that was the most important. And I feel like has always been the case with him. After Purple Rain, we got to see a little bit of what his life might have been like. It was sort of loosely based on who he was. And then after that, he was like, you know what? It's about let's just do this music.
The great thing about that, too, is I feel like what he's left us with is this great catalog of music, but also these bizarre stories from different people
about meeting him,
about chance encounters here and there versus a record of someone's life on social media or something like that.
No, you met him.
I did meet him. I had the opportunity to, a friend of mine who was a photographer called me up one day and said, you know, come down, I'm going to be shooting someone. Do you want to assist me? And I went with him and got dressed, and he said, no, you're not going to wear that, wear something else. I said, okay. Went to this beautiful hotel and heard the clippity-clop along the marble floor. And there he was, sitting in front of me, like as beautiful as ever. He looked like an angel. And he pulled me towards him, pulled me down. I'm quite tall. He's about 5'2". He pulled me down and he pressed his cheeks one at a time against my cheeks and said, "Hi, how are you?" And I said, you know, as you do when it's Prince. So he was lovely. He was just a lovely person, and everything he exuded was humility and kindness. And it was a short encounter, but it was beautiful. And his cheeks were like that of a baby seal. Let me tell you,
Shad.
like, I mean, smooth.
Shad, last point. You know, as you said, we part of his legacy he leaves with us because we'll always be able to listen to his music. But without him, what do we lose?
Without Prince, well, one thing I can say is the last time I saw him perform, he was playing this sort of funk rock soul kind of hybrid. And it struck me that nobody else is doing that. And he really represented that bridge across these sort of what we consider disparate genres of music. And that's what he's done throughout his career. But I think what we lose is that figure that actually truly represents that bridge between funk and rock,
the blues,
soul, R&B, the blues, new wave,
yeah,
you name it. He was a figure that sat at the center of it, and we've lost that.
Yeah.
All right, leave it at that. Thank you both.
Thank you.